Welcome to the Pongcast, brought to you by the Pong-A-Thon. We are a movement that exists solely to see the issue of modern-day slavery end. Right now around the world, there are estimated to be more than 40 million slaves, and we believe this is not okay. We fight modern-day slavery by creating awareness of the issue, but primarily through the fundraising of monies that goes to support 7 incredible organisations that tackle the issue of modern-day slavery in different ways. We raise funds through the marathon table tennis events, or what we like to call Pong-A-Thons, where communities all across Australia and the US will engage and play table tennis together, some for 2 hours, some for 24 hours, to raise money to fight modern day slavery. Since 2011, we've raised nearly $2.7 million, and we're very proud of the contribution that we have made in this global fight. In our episodes together, we will explore what's happening in the movement, as well as have incredible interviews and conversations with our partner organisations where they discuss the impact that is happening on the ground. We hope you enjoy it. Well, welcome to the first Pongcast of the year. You're here with myself, David, and Matt from Pong HQ. Lovely to be here. And Matt, good to have you with us.
It's great to be here, mate. First one of the year.
First one of the year.
Is it May the 11th today? Something like that.
Yes, correct.
So we're a third of the way through the year, and this is our first Pongcast. But it won't be the last, will it?
Yeah, that's true. Wow, we're already a third of the way through the year. That's pretty remarkable to think about that. My goodness. And you're absolutely right. We are a third of the way through the year. But that by no means, the fact this is our first Pongcast, that by no means mean that we've been doing nothing. We've actually been quite busy, in fact. And yeah, we can't wait to kind of share a lot of the things that we've been working on, a lot of the things that's coming later this year, as well as, some of the impact, Matt. Like, honestly, getting ready for this podcast, some of the stories, one which I'll highlight specifically, very powerful. So as a refresher, I think we had over 500 Pongers last year, raise a collective $400,000. Wow. So it's pretty amazing, Matt, when you think about it, and the honor that we have to be able to lead and help the whole movement understand exactly what impact that creates. It's it's quite a privilege and an honor, as I'm sure you would agree. So we'll get into that later in the podcast, but maybe, Matt, share what has occurred so far this year. We've had some incredible events, international events to start the year. So we'd love to hear about that. And then, we've been doing a bit of travel as well. So maybe fill us in on what we've been up to.
Well, to start talking about the international events, we've had 2 events in Pennsylvania, United States of America.
Yes.
I think one in February, one in March. And they, between them, got us off to a cracking start. I think they've raised something like 25,000 Australian dollars.
Amazing.
Which is just wonderful. When we're typically used to having events starting, August, September-ish, to have a couple that early in the year. And that works really well for those event organisers in the US. Been very exciting to see that, and to see some of the really good fruit that's starting to flow from those events. Really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So big shout out to our Pong ambassador of the USA, Benny Thompson. We love your work, mate. And Dolph, I think he was the other event organizer, wasn't he, that ran their second event that you spoke to. So awesome stuff.
Yeah. And also, David, just while we're on talking about American Pong, we're going to do an online gathering with Benny and Dolph and some of their American Pong people much later in the year. We'll be zooming into that, and that's just good awesome. To see just the genesis of something building there. It's really exciting. Exciting on a local level was we had the privilege of traveling to Adelaide a few weeks ago, you and I.
We did, correct.
And we met with existing Pong communities. Some of the old hands have been doing it for a long time. We met with 1 or 2 rookie venues who last year ponged for the first time.
Year, yeah.
And then, very excited, we met with a couple who are thinking of bringing a Pong into their community later this year for the first time. And
that's so exciting.
It was. And we've been really lucky, David, in the last couple of years that even as the pandemic has wreaked havoc everywhere, we were still able to get to Adelaide. I mean, each of the last 2 years, and it's been so thrilling to see how Pong in South Australia has really started to develop.
Absolutely, yeah, couldn't agree more, Matt. And
we're
part of the reason for us going last month was for something that's happening next month. Is that fair to say?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah, well, Pongference. And yes, you did hear me right. I did say Pongference, and it's like a conference, but when you put the Pong name, of course, you're going to use Pong all the time. So it's like a conference, just with a better name. Pongference, Saturday, June the 4th, Golden Grove Lutheran Church, Adelaide. We've got some incredibly special speakers joining us for the day. I think we're running from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on this day. Just a one day.
Yep.
There's no charge to be there. We'd be thrilled to see as many people from all over the country, but I'm guessing particularly from the Adelaide area. And it's going to be a very special day. Did you want to elaborate a bit further, David, on?
Yeah, I think we'll have. I'll put up the flyer now so you can see the details. But yeah, we've got Lucy McRae from the Freedom Story and Merwin Foran from Hagar, Australia, both of which are our partners. They're going to be in person speaking directly about the impact, directly about the issue. You know, Matt, the issue of slavery and human trafficking is by no means a simple issue. There are some simple truths about it, but in terms of tackling and becoming the answer to the problem, it's quite a complex issue. So it's really an opportunity to obviously hear more about the impact, but also understanding the issue as well, and how you can be, if you're a person of faith, how you can be praying, but also how you can actively be supporting in other ways as well, whether it's through advocacy on social media or, being a better advocate for the Pong, obviously, as well, is something that we're going to be focusing on too. So, yeah, it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be quite a casual day together. It's really going to be about bringing everyone together, the whole movement that's in Adelaide. And, yeah, as you said, Matt, if you're from regional SA or anywhere else in Australia, you're absolutely more than welcome to come. And as Matt also said, it's a free event. So pongference.com, please register. And yeah, we'd love to have you there. Absolutely.
And David, talking of Adelaide, we are flying back into Adelaide tomorrow, Thursday.
Amazing.
Again, we're catching up with quite a few communities. And then on Friday from Adelaide, we're flying into Perth for 2 or 3 days. And that is really exciting, isn't it? Because the last couple of years we've tried to get into Perth and have failed because of border restrictions, etc. And there are so many people that we've been wanting to see for such a long period of time. All being well, we're going to be seeing these people Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Really looking forward to that. And a little bit of trivia for you, Matt. I've actually never been to Western Australia. It's the only state of Australia that I've never been to. So, yeah, it'd be my first time. Tick that off the list. And, yeah, can't wait to meet all of our incredible Pong communities in WA.
And what better reason to go, David?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So we've got Pongference in June, obviously in Adelaide. So once again, if you can make that, we'd love to have you come along to that. But Matt, beyond that, we've got obviously campaign, brewing, getting prep for that. So, if you're a mover and shaker in your community, if you've maybe ponged in the past, and you haven't been able to pong the last few years because of COVID, hey, give us a call, shoot us a line. We'd love to have you a part of this year's campaign. And yeah, we really believe that the Pong is the greatest opportunity as Australians and Americans and wherever else in the world you may want to plan to Pong. It's not just exclusive to those two countries. To really be on the front lines of this fight against human trafficking and slavery. I always talk about the fact that there is a responsibility now, Matt. If you understand the work that the Pong is doing, it's almost a responsibility that you have to do something, if that makes sense. So it's not to try and make you feel guilty, but hey, it's such an awesome opportunity to create impact and to be a part of the solution with this
And David,
horrific.
don't we hear that so often that
Mm,
people say,
mm,
once I understood what the numbers were,
yeah.
I couldn't stand by and do nothing. I
Mm,
had to do something.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
indeed, if we all do something, gosh, we make a difference. And Pong proves that year in, year out.
Absolutely, Matt. Yeah, no, I love that. Absolutely. And maybe that's a good segue to talk about some of the impacts. So as I said earlier, we were able to raise $400,000 last year, which is pretty remarkable. We saw over 500 people participate directly in the campaign, all across Australia and the US. We saw, I think, over 3,500 individual donations into the campaign. So that's 3,500 people donating all over the world. And yeah, it's such a beautiful tapestry of collective, collaborative impact of everyone kind of doing their bit. What does that achieve though? What does that look like? For those that may be new to the Pong and who we are, the Pong is really quite remarkable in the sense that it tackles the issue in a very holistic way. We support 7 partners in Southeast Asia that all do different things. Some of them work in prevention, so working with frontline communities to give them the tools to ensure that they don't get trafficked. Some work with aftercare, literally those girls or people in the labour trade that come out of the industry, giving them the care that they need to be restored, to receive counselling, and then to obviously be able to find work and new careers and jobs, or if they're younger, to be able to learn and grow and flourish in that. And then there's, the prosecution, systemic change, right? So can't just work at the micro. We've got to work with governments. We've got to work with agencies. We've got to pass laws and put pressure on government and regulatory bodies to ensure that, prosecutors are, those that are the perpetrators of these crimes are actually prosecuted. So, I love that we support all the whole spectrum. And in fact, at Pongference, you'll be able to hear directly from a representative in each of those verticals. So, another plug for Pongference there. So yeah, Matt, just talking specifically about some of the impact that's been achieved in this quarter. It's been quite remarkable, as I kind of hinted at the start of our episode. Our partners have been very busy, and we've seen a total, or at the least, some of the data still coming in, but at the least, we've seen 58 people rescued or removed from harm, removed from situations of harm, including 2 in the Philippines that were part of an Australian case, where 2 pedophiles from Australia were caught and prosecuted. So that one, I guess, hits a little bit closer to home. We also saw 21 of cases that are currently being heard or were heard in Thailand. So these are cases, obviously, that were from last year or the year before. Obviously, sometimes these cases take a long time. 21 years of conviction, which is actually really quite significant, Matt, because often in jurisdictions like in Southeast Asia, there isn't the same recognition, or I guess the crime isn't at the same level as some of the other crimes. And so being able to see these heavy-handed sentences being given out is actually really significant. So that was definitely a win. So 58 people, Matt, or at least 58 people, which is just extraordinary. This is why we Pong. This is why you play table tennis. This is why you do what you do. Just being able to collate this data is really exciting for me. Matt, one story that I guess want to share. Obviously, last year our theme was One Life, and it was really about humanizing the issue of 40 million, or the statistic of 40 million slaves down to one person. And we want to continue to do that this year. And so this story, I guess, is probably worth me saying a bit of a warning, because there's some sensitive details. So if you've got young ears listening, maybe turn it off. But this is a story of Vietnam, Matt, in Vietnam with one of our partners there, and her name, not her real name, but we'll call her Dan, was about 15 years old when she wanted to, I guess, support her mother better. Her father had died. She realized that she was being a burden to her mum. Mum was working 2 jobs, and it was just a stressful situation. So she wanted to go and work as well. And so her neighbor promised her a job in the city. And so it was an established relationship. There was trust there, and she decided to, take the neighbor up on the offer. And unfortunately, it was on false pretenses, and she was smuggled or trafficked into China, where she effectively became a prostitute in a brothel. She got taught to massage, and she was effectively, all of her documents were taken, and was trapped in China. She sorry, Matt, the details of it is quite harrowing. She tried to escape a number of times, and one of the times where she tried to escape, they basically beat her up. So I'll just read it here from the report. One time when the trafficker caught Dan attempting to escape this place, they tortured her by using a hamper to break her kneecaps so that she was no longer able to run away. It's just to think about that happening amongst everything else, is pretty horrific. She finally was able. She kept attempting to run away. She was finally able to get to the border of Vietnam and China, and unfortunately, someone at the border who was pretending to be police sold her to another brothel, a different one. And she was then there for a period of time. She was finally able to escape again, and was able to get to the border. And this time there were police, and she was able to get back into Vietnam. Matt, she was there for 17 years. She was stuck in China doing this work for 17 years, and when she was able to come back.
How old was she at the start?
15.
She was 15.
Yeah, so she was in her early 30s. And of course, this whole time, her mum had no idea what happened to her. So in the report, one of our partners was a part of the process to get her the help and the care and the counselling and the support that she really needed. And in the report, she talks about the fact that her mum being reunited again with her mum after 17 years was obviously a pretty extraordinary moment. And so, Matt, this is how we have to think about it, really. I mean, obviously, every story is different, and some stories are more extreme than others. That's true. But the reality is, there are 40 million people just like Dan that are stuck, that are in the industry, that are being used and abused day in, day out. Right now, that's really how you got to think about it. Right now, as we are talking to one another, enjoying our freedom, there are 40 million people all around the world that are not. So I guess that's really sobering. But also, hey, like, we have the opportunity to be a part of the process of giving healing and restoration and a new change, a new start to people like Dan. So hopefully that was encouraging for you. We want to do more of this, get more data to our movement more quickly. Obviously, we've got 7 partners. Sometimes it takes a while to get all the information together, but we really want to be better at doing this. Follow us on Facebook if you have that, on Instagram, we will continue to post updates as we receive them. So Matt, I think that's it from the impact side. Any parting words that you wanted to say, or in relation to the story I just shared and the data that I just shared, or anything else?
Well, it's always so sobering, isn't it, to hear those stories? No matter how many years we work in Pong, every time you hear that story, it matters, doesn't it? Because each life matters.
Mm.
So I guess that in a rough kind of way, David, it segues into Pongference.
Yeah, sure.
Because it is as we gather and work together and join our collective resources, that we're able to support our partners who can keep doing this phenomenal work, to keep bringing the one to freedom. So that's just a reminder, really, to say that Pongference at Golden Grove Lutheran Church in Adelaide on Saturday the 4th of June. There's no cost for a ticket, but we are asking people to register on, I think it's pongference.com.
Correct.
Pongference.com. The day is going to run from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's in true Pong tradition. It'll be a heady mix of the sublime to the ridiculous, I think. Great speakers, a lot of fun, and hopefully quite inspiring to our South Australian movement.
Awesome. Great reminder, Matt. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on our next Pongcast episode. Cheers.
Sure. See ya.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the Pongcast. We really hope you enjoyed it and were inspired. To learn more about the Pong and to join this fight against slavery, please head to our website, Pong-A-Thon.com, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the Pongcast.